Okay, real talk, people. I've been feeling depressed by week, whatever this is, of this pandemic. I've just been feeling like there's nothing I'm excited about. I've been irritable, annoyed that my loved ones are so close, that my daughter's sticking her legs on me and cuddling up to me. Feeling guilty that I feel this way, and not practicing as much yoga. Eating a little more than I need to, feeling like I'm not sleeping as well because I've been eating a little more than I probably need to. Feeling resentful that things aren't going to be the way I'd like them to be when the new normal starts, you know. First world problems, but the irony is I haven't been practicing as much. Even though I've been feeling down, I've been feeling like I don't have the energy to do it when it's exactly the time I need it the most. So by the grace of God, this morning I woke up with the feeling it's time to put the parts back together. Thanks to that person I talked to yesterday who knows who they are, who just heard what was going on for me, was able to let me feel heard and remind me that getting back to the practice is going to make a difference. Let's start by addressing the elephant in the room, the digestion thing. When I'm not doing as much activity as I'd like and I'm not sleeping as well, one of my favorite poses is just lying on my back and hugging my knees into my chest. So we'll start with that. Just take a few moments relaxing completely on your back. Hands and feet out a little wider than hips and shoulders. And just already letting this happen is digestive magic. The movement of your breath in and out squeezes and releases the abdomen, encouraging the movement of food through the digestive system. And whenever you feel ready, you can encourage that even more by bringing your knees up towards your chest. Without bending your knees or hips past where they feel comfortable, just holding your knees towards you here will put a little more pressure onto the abdomen. Your thighs kind of approaching the bottom of your digestive system. And then just letting that ebb and flow of breath happen here encourages the same kind of release, kind of movement. It's also a beautiful stretch for your low back. Very supported, very opening. And I say this, but if you're feeling like this is too much, just bending a lot less will help. You might stay here till you feel some wind pass. You might find that you've reached an edge and slowly start to move a little. You might hear some bubbling or movement happen. The next inhale, let your knees spread wide apart so that there's a stretch between your thighs. And just gently rock back and forth. And we're we're starting to encourage the pelvis to move in relation to the low back. Anytime you move your legs up and down towards your torso, there's probably some relative movement of your low back. And we just encourage the gentlest version of that movement when we do this. Let's bring our thighs back together and hug our knees in again. You might have let a little bit of movement happen. You might find some relief. Better out than in. Good. We're going to plant our feet back down and just take another few breaths, stretching out, noticing how you feel with your legs straight, your arms straight. Bringing attention back to your breath. You might do a second round of that wind releasing if it feels beneficial. Otherwise, just bringing one knee up towards you. I'll start with my right leg. Just take a few circles of your right ankle in each direction. Pointing the toes as you inhale, circling them back towards you as you exhale. A few circles in each direction, as well as feeling free to move back and forth or more slowly anywhere that feels the need or desire for a little more attention or breath. And then reach your leg up. You don't have to straighten it, but just lengthen it above your hip, holding on at your thigh or on the front of your pant leg or using a strap. Just approaching the gentlest of forward folds now. Encouraging a stretch through the back of the leg by flexing the foot towards the knee. But you're also welcome to feel the front and back lines of the leg by pointing and flexing a few times. Try to keep your shoulders and neck in as neutral a position as possible. Because I haven't been doing as much movement lately, I might choose to just keep my shoulders and neck down the whole time and really stay with this gentler version of a forward fold the whole time. Good, now bending the knee, I'm going to keep holding on at the back of the thigh. I'm just going to encourage opening through the knee a little by bouncing my lower leg up and down a few times. Got into the ankle, warming up and encouraging hydration in the knee, synovial fluid in the knee joint. We'll move on to our hip now, bending our left knee so we can place the outer edge of our right foot onto the left knee. Stretch the outside of our right hip. And again, check in neutral curve of the neck, neutral position of the shoulders. You're welcome to keep your left foot down or lift the left knee and hold on to your thigh or shin. Wiggling a little, moving a little to find the stretch in your right hip. And then let's switch it up. Right leg straight, left knee bent. Circles of your left ankle. into an exploration of the front and back lines of the leg. I sprained this ankle this week somehow. I mean, I don't even know if it was a sprain. It's just a lot of pain in that foot, just below my ankle, actually, the foot more than the ankle. This kind of movement, such a blessing for me this week. Even though I didn't do as much yoga, I did keep up my minimal movements. Feel free to stay like this. Feel free to lift your shoulders, neck, and head. Just make sure you keep breathing as you do it. We have been holding the back of the thigh, moving into a little more vigorous movement of the knee. Well, hopefully it's not too vigorous, but as much movement as you can get with as little effort as possible. Remember, moving your thigh a little closer to or further from your torso can really change the nature of this movement, so feel free to explore that as you do this. And then bend your right knee. Place the outer edge of your left foot on your right knee. And feel free to keep your right foot down. Or lift the thigh and hold. Shoulders resting down, a little movement side to side or back and forth. Just to explore where you find just the right amount, just the right intensity, just the right alignment for the stretch in your left hip. And just breathe. Let go. Take another few breaths, just relaxing completely. I just heard the woodpecker outside our house. He wakes us up. Well, he doesn't wake me up a lot, but I hear him a lot of mornings. Lately, we've been hearing him all day, most days. I love that bird. Let's finish off this sequence with one more round of that wind releasing pose. Knees up to chest, hugging them in. You might feel now that you moved a little more ease with this much flexion in the hips and knees. Feel free to tuck your chin in and squeeze for a couple of breaths. Oh yeah, there's a little more movement. Whew. Better out than in. All right. Turning to a side now. Feel free to lay there for a moment and just notice what you're noticing. Give yourself thanks for taking the time for your practice. Use your arms to help yourself to an upright position. Get whatever you need to sit on. Oh, what a beautiful sky. And sitting with your knees about level to or lower than your hips, your low back curving towards your belly button. Just let your chin hang towards your chest. I'm spending so much time on my phone. I've got this pain in between my shoulders from holding it, looking down. I'm not going to spend super long with my chin towards my chest today just because of that. But paying attention to the position of your shoulders, broadening across the front of your shoulders, reaching them towards each other on your back. Great relief for that kind of computer phone posture that many of us are experiencing. Next inhale, left ear over left shoulder, right fingertips a little distance from right hip. Exhale, chin towards chest again. Check that you've kept your shoulders broad. Inhale, right ear over right shoulder. Left fingertips a little distance from left hip. Exhale, chin to chest again. Inhale, left ear over left shoulder. Exhale, chin to chest. Inhale, right ear over right shoulder. Exhale, chin to chest. And then keep moving with the rhythm of your breath, either from side to side like that. Or if it feels okay, you can start to move in a circular motion. I couldn't help but remember Frank Zappa's song, Nanook Rubs It. And for those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, look up the Frank Zappa album Apostrophe. Or don't. Don't forget to do a few circles in the opposite direction. Move back and forth a little more slowly anywhere that needs or wants it. And we'll finish off with chin towards chest. Inhale, lift shoulders towards the ears. Hold them there. Hold your breath. And with a vocal sigh, good. Can't even remember if I encouraged you to move both ways, but definitely do circle in both ways when you're doing that kind of thing. Another nice way to get into the shoulders is to give yourself a hug. And we'll start off with a really gentle version of that. Reaching the right hand up to your left shoulder. Hold on to your left elbow with your right hand. Or if it feels good, reach around a little further to the shoulder. And this is where you're starting to hug yourself. And what I encourage is kind of lifting the elbows while trying to rest your shoulder blades down. I'm going to go for this version today. Holding on to my shoulder feels a little intense. Now, either way, whether you hold on at the elbow or the shoulder, you can let your right hand reach out and then just start to explore flexing and extending your fingers, circling at the wrists. You can circle in both directions. Move back and forth or a little more slowly anywhere that needs it. Nice. And then we're going to keep the hand on the shoulder for a little breath or so more. Lower those left fingertips down a little behind the hips. And for a couple of breaths, just turn to look towards your right. Gentlest twist through the neck here. This feeling of stretching through the shoulders. Your choice, you can stay with this really gentle twist, or if you'd like, come into a more full body twist, reaching the right hand down to your left knee, your left hand just a little behind you. And turn from your waist, just however far you can go without losing that upright alignment of your spine, without letting your low back curve away from your belly button. Next exhale, face forward once again. Let's switch it up, reaching our left hand up to the right shoulder. Your right hand could stay where it is. You could reach across to the upper arm or shoulder, wherever you're able to feel a stretch through the shoulders, broadening across your collarbones. while still stretching the shoulders down your back. Increasing the space between your shoulder blades while still keeping enough room for nice deep breaths in the front of your torso. And again, feel free to keep the other hand at the shoulder or stretch it out, moving the fingers, circling the wrists. Just gradually, gently getting into the front and back lines of the arm. And then as you're ready, bringing your left hand to your right shoulder again. Right hand just a little distance behind the hip. Turn to look towards your left shoulder. Gentlest twist for the neck. Feel the sensation in your shoulders as you do this. And then let your left hand come down to your right knee. Bring your right hand a little distance behind you. Lengthen up and turn, just however much you can. Good. Facing forward now. Let's let our shoulders move a few times. Starting off, reaching them back and up as we breathe in, rolling them forward and down on our exhales. Circling however large, however small, however slow or fast, however gentle or vigorous a motion as feels right, as feels linked to your breath for now. And then next time you lift your shoulders, hold them there, hold your breath. And with another vocalization, let go. Try a few circles in the opposite direction too. Forward and up as you breathe in, back and down on your exhales. Feel free to move back and forth or more slowly anywhere you'd like. Feel free to wiggle them forward and back or bounce them up and down. Feel free to circle one shoulder forward and the other shoulder back. You'd like to give your brain a little yoga. And don't worry if you don't actually get your body doing that movement. Just trying to gives your brain the neural pathways or growth in the neural pathways that can lead to being able to do that movement. Not that it's of any value to you to do that particular movement, but more neural pathways generally are valuable. We'll lift our shoulders, hold our breath. Let go. We're going to finish off this sequence of yoga for depression with a forward fold. My favorite forward fold is just a standing forward fold because you can bend the knees really deeply. You're not putting as much pressure on the tailbone. So let's stretch out our legs and really take your time. We've been sitting for a bit, so give yourself the time to feel the neutral position of your legs. Actually, maybe we'll do one more pose on our way up to our forward fold. Come up to hands and knees. With our hands near the front end of our mat, our knees near the back end of our mat, toes tucked. Let's stretch the mat out underneath us, pushing the hands forward, pushing the feet back. Really rounding your back, feeling a stretch along the soles of your feet, through the back of the hips. Beautiful. And then we'll move our toes to untucked, move our hips back a little further, knees back a little further, hips back just a little behind the knees, and we'll stretch our triceps and our pectoral muscles here, chin away from chest, as heart and chin reach towards the mat. Some of us will touch them right down. For others, just reaching into this position, however little you may lower, will feel wonderful. Low back curving towards belly button. Beautiful. Hands coming back towards us here. Let's let our hips settle right back onto our heels. Let our forehead touch down. Relax completely. Walking your hands over to the left side. Extend the right side of your torso a little. Let your hips stay right back over your heels. Inhale, exhale with a sigh. Good. Release your arms back to center. Walk your hands to the right, extending your left side. Inhale, exhale with an Beautiful. Let your hands come back to center. Come on up to your hands and knees. And for a few breaths, inhale, chin away from chest. Exhale, chin tucking in. Let your whole back respond similarly to that movement. Another great way to ensure that any stitching together of your connective tissues that may have happened in periods of less movement can gradually get encouraged to release, encouraged to move again. Good. Next inhale, come back to a neutral spine. Come back to that stretching out of the mat that we were doing before. You can stay there if you'd like, or you can now push with your legs to lift up. And take a few breaths, walking your feet a little closer to or a little further from your hands until you find that long diagonal line from wrists all the way up to hips. Bend and straighten your knees a few times once you find that alignment. And then even as you settle with your heels reaching towards the mat, just enjoying this beautiful stretch for the backs of the legs. Try to keep a little bend in your knees so that your spine keeps its neutral curve. Your shoulders stay in line with your arms and torso. We'll take just a few more breaths right there. Remember, you could always do this on your knees instead. Next exhale, let's all let our knees touch down. Here we'll untuck our toes, bring our hips back to our heels. And this time, let's bring our hands back to our heels as well, so that our shoulders drape across our knees. Inhale, exhale with a sigh. Inhale, exhale with an ah. Good. Now, feel free to stay like this, or if you'd like, you can explore stretching the back of your neck by coming up into rabbit pose. Lifting your hips off your heels, let your forehead roll until you're no longer touching your forehead down, but on the crown of your head. You're welcome to come down anytime. You're welcome to stay right here, or bring your knees a little closer to your forehead to lift a little higher. Keep your hands reaching back towards your heels. You'll feel the sweetest stretch through the whole length of your spine. Move your knees back to slowly roll back down to the forehead side of your head. And once again, let go completely in child's pose. And then slowly make your way up to an upright position, whether it's sitting back on the heels like I'm doing right now, or possibly lifting your hips right off your heels and coming into this half standing position. Let's all step 1 foot at a time forward. Let's come right up to our standing position. And from there, we'll find our way into that forward fold. And today I'm going to use the couch as a way to assist myself into my forward fold. So what I suggest is that you find a halfway forward fold, whether it's with your hands on your knees or reaching out for something to hold yourself in that position. Knees as bent as you'd like, belly button reaching away from the low back reaching down towards the belly button so that you're really stretching your hips and hamstrings before you get into your spine at all. And I love the feeling here of leaning the hips away from the hands so that you get some extension, you get some traction or tension through the spine. Most of the time we're spending our spines are in contraction, compression, right? The weight of our upper body weighing down on our spine. Here we give it a moment of stretch without folding quite as deeply as we often need to get into that feeling of stretching. Now you're welcome to stay here as long as you'd like, or start to explore deepening that forward fold. Hands come to the knees first. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, lower as much as you can without rounding your back. And then another couple of times, let's explore that. Inhale to lift up to halfway. Exhale, belly button as close to the thighs as you can get it without rounding your back. Last time. And this time, as you bring your belly button down towards your thighs, you're welcome to stay. You're welcome to round. You're welcome to keep your hands down on the ground or whatever props you need. Or possibly let the weight of your torso contribute to the stretch by holding on to either elbow with either hand. Feel free to nod or sway or both. Definitely let go with some kind of lengthening or sounding of your breath. And then let go. And we'll just lift up halfway. We'll release. And then we'll take as many breaths as we'd like, slowly coming up. Take your time, as many breaths as you need getting there. Once you're there, please roll your shoulders back and down. Broaden across your collarbones. Let's finish off with a squat here. Feet out a little wider than the hips, toes pointed away from each other. We'll lower our hips towards our heels, bringing our upper arms between our knees. And if this just isn't going to happen for you, you just sit down on the mat, bring the soles of your feet together. This will give you a very similar stretch. Starting off, just letting the hips lower as the crown of our head and our heart lift. letting the fingertips touch down, rounding your back. And this works whether you're sitting on the mat or in your squat. Let's then bring our hands around behind us. Let our bums touch down. And you're welcome to turn to your side and lower back down to the mat the same way you came up earlier. Or if you'd like, tuck your chin in, round your back, and then rock back and forth. Take a few breaths massaging the whole length of your back. Let's lift into our back bend. Pushing with your feet, maybe barely lifting your hips, maybe low back, maybe middle back as well. You can keep your arms either side. You can tuck your shoulders underneath. Maybe bring your shoulders and feet a little closer together to lift just a touch higher. You can come out anytime or stay for 3 more breaths. Stretching the front of your body, but also feeling length and space in the back body. Let your glutes relax a little, even as you're lifting into this back bend. Good. And release your hands. Take at least a few breaths, slowly coming back down. Let your knees sway from side to side. Untuck your shoulders. And slide your hands underneath you. One more back bend before we relax completely. And lengthen our legs. Tuck our elbows even closer if possible. And you're already back bending by bringing your shoulder blades towards each other on your back here. So you can stay like this. Or you can bend your elbows to lift up a little higher. Now looking along the floor behind you as the crown of your head hangs back and down. Let this lengthening of the front of your body stimulate your thyroid and thymus glands. Let it stretch the front of your shoulders, the top of your chest. And then bring your chin back to your chest. Let your shoulders touch down. Bring your hands from underneath you. And take the time to move any way you'd like. To really settle into an easeful position. Or Shavasana. Hands and feet out a little wider than hips and shoulders. Hips and shoulders far enough apart that your back feels long without being stretched out. And start to consciously relax yourself.
finish off by coming to a sitting position. Just noticing our breath after this conscious practice. Noticing our thoughts, emotions, and sensations. Staying rooted in here and now. Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat Om. Namaste.